Hey guys, welcome back to another session by yours truly. In this case, we finally reached the end. This is the last topic from the semester, third conditional. We already covered first and second conditional, so if you don't have any questions about those, this should be a lot easier for you. And if you do have questions, go watch the other two videos because they are already on the channel. So without any further ado, we're going to get started. Make sure you're relaxed and you have a snack with you. And also, very important, take notes because you're going to need them at the end. All right. So like with all of the other topics, first we have to answer what do we use it for? And in the case of third conditional, we use it to talk about the past. Okay, it's going to describe a situation that didn't happen. And we're going to imagine a different result for this situation, a different outcome. If you don't fully understand the explanation, don't worry, it's going to be a lot clearer once we start seeing the examples. That's going to be a little bit further down the way from the presentation. Right now, let's get to the structure. And we always focus on the general structure for conditionals first. So we already saw first and second. What is the structure for all conditionals? Pause the video, think of it, and give me an answer. All right. If your answer was condition and result, you are 100% correct. This is the main two items that we're going to use for all conditionals. And we know that we can start with the condition or we can start with the result. It doesn't really matter. It just depends on what you want to mention first. The only difference, like you guys already know, is if we start with the condition, we're going to add a comma. Okay? Very important, make sure that you add that note like we've been adding it to first and second conditional. If we start with the condition, we add a comma. This is grammatical. If you don't have it there, it is going to be a mistake. Okay? Now, let's focus more on the specific structure for third conditional. So, we have the if clause or the condition, and we have the main clause or the result. Very important that you pay full attention right now. We're gonna be using some a little bit of harder structures, and we're talking about past perfect and would have and past participle. Okay, so key thing here is to practice past participle. All right, so the condition is in past perfect, and then the results would have all of these three elements: would, have, and past participle. So the would and the have never change. The only thing that we're going to be changing is the verb. Okay, and like we already established with all of the other conditionals that we saw, we can start with the condition or we can start with the result. That is in no way going to change the actual tenses that we're using for the structure. We still have the condition in past perfect, and we still have the main clause or the result, would have, and then the verb in past parts. Okay, so make sure you grab all of this information. It is very important so you don't make any mistakes on your sentence. All right, so let's get to our first example. So this example has to do with this series. So if you're not very much into a lot of different series, you might not understand this example, but bear with me. If they hadn't escaped, they would have died. If the kids hadn't escaped, they would have died. And we can see right there we're using past perfect, hadn't escaped, and then we're using would have and the verb in past participle. There's one important thing that we got to remember. If we're talking about regular verbs, then the past participle form of those verbs is with ed. Okay, so they are simple. Now, here we have some more everyday examples for everybody. If I had done the homework, I wouldn't have failed the subject. I think a lot of people can relate with this. I wouldn't have failed the subject if I had done the homework. So here we can see the same example, one starting with the condition and one starting with the result. The structure, we can analyze it: would have, verb in past participle, and the condition, past perfect. Okay? So remember, if you don't know the structure for past perfect, ask me and I will give it to you. But it's that simple: had and then the verb in past participle. Okay? Here's another example. If I had listened to my parents, I would have done things differently. I would have done things differently if I had listened to my parents. All right, we can see both of them how they're working. Check the structure out, pause the video, analyze it, and you're going to see that we're following it 100%. Can we make negatives? Can we have negative conditions and negative results? This has been a question that I've answered in all of the conditional videos. And the answer is yes, we can. We have this first example. If I hadn't hurt my knee, I would have played professional soccer. Here we can see a negative condition. Yeah. Can we have negative results? Well, let's check it out. If I had gone to the party, I wouldn't have seen my crush. All right, so here we can see we have a negative result. All right. And then the last one, she wouldn't have said that if he hadn't acted like that. Here we can see we have both a negative condition and a negative result. So the answer is yes, we can make negative condition and results. It just depends on what you want to express. The other question is normally how do we make the negatives? Well, we have to remember the structure. If we're using negative past, if we're using a condition, we have to remember that we need past perfect. So we have to remember the structure for past perfect negative. And that would be the answer. And if we're using the results, would have seen, we just have to make would into negative, wouldn't. Those are the ways that we make the negatives. If somebody has any questions about the structures, make sure you send me a message or make sure you contact me in class so I can clarify any doubts that you may have. Okay? And then finally, I have some more examples here. This is just in case somebody wants to pause the video, read some more examples. The last three that we have there have to do with, no, the last two that we have here have to do with social issues. So you guys can see how we can apply third conditional for our social issues project. A lot of animals would have been saved if people had neutered them. All right, so we have there a different outcome if things would be different. Okay. The last thing I want to leave everybody with is a very important message or just reminder. Since we're talking about past participle, we need to remember that we have irregular verbs. So I want you guys to, if you don't know them already, don't guess. If you don't know a verb, Google the past participle form of that verb, okay? We have to always remember we're using the past participle. So double check that your verbs are the correct ones, all right? But that is basically it. At this point, if you guys don't have any questions, make sure that you make your mind map, your concept map, or that you take your notes very cleanly so you can study from them. Okay, but that would be it for me, guys. I tried to keep it as short as possible. I'm sorry if I did extend a little bit more. Here are the references in case somebody wants to check them out. Remember, I'm always there for you in form, in class, so make sure that you ask me if you do have any questions. That will be it for me, guys. Take care, have a wonderful day, and peace.